Good morning and welcome everybody to our Saturday program. That's not a good start, is it? So this is sort of an extension of our program that we do during the week. It's TNT, but it's TNT live. So I've got no trampoline, I've got no safety net, and if I make a mistake, well, you're all going to hear about it. So a few things to cover today, but the broad spectrum basically includes Thailand's borders and the way that you get into Thailand in the future, either without a visa or with a visa, and also taxation. It looks like there's going to be some more changes to taxation that may affect you. Now, whilst I try and do a program with general information, it's really up to you to check that information and to see how it may or may not affect you. This particularly pertains to the taxation issue where people go, oh, but there must be a black and white answer. Well, there isn't any black and white answer regarding taxation here in Thailand or even in your country because everybody's got a personal situation. They may have money coming from here, from there. They may have investments from another country. They may have Bitcoin, whatever it is. The impact of any taxation from Thailand or anywhere else is going to be solely based on your personal situation. So it's very, very difficult to give black and white answers. I know people want black and white answers. They want things to be simple, but it's not going to be simple. So, look, welcome to everybody. Having done that bit of preamble, let's go to this bit of news, which I suppose is good news, from Thai PBS World. And His Majesty the King has extended good wishes to the new Prime Minister and Cabinet. What this means is they've been sworn in. It means the Prime Minister can now go and take up her office in Government House in Thailand. And along with the other ministers, they are now 100% official. There's no more adding the word caretaker in front of every time we talk about these new ministers. So there have been caretaker ministers. There's been a caretaker defence minister, a caretaker agricultural minister. They're now been changed, but with the new ministry. So the new ministry is intact. I think there's 7 or 8 new ministers, but there really haven't been any fundamental changes, although it obviously has been quite a tumultuous time with the Constitutional Court. I'm not going to talk about politics because some of you are a bit averse to that. Now, the other thing that's sort of happening at the moment that I thought I'd get out of the way early is the Typhoon Yagi, big typhoon in the South China Sea. Now, there are two things that I want to draw your attention to. One is Typhoon Yagi, which is about to slam into the North Vietnamese coast and will particularly affect Hanoi, as you can see there. And the other one over here, which is a low pressure system right in the middle of the Bay of Bengal. And of course, we've got Thailand down here. And you can see Bangkok there in the middle. Now, both the Typhoon Yagi and the low pressure system in the Bay of Bengal are dragging a lot of that warm, moist air from the Indian Ocean up into Thailand. So we are getting quite fresh winds here on the coast, and it will result in quite, well, moist, humid, and ultimately wet conditions in much of Thailand. You can see, yeah, that's that air being dragged in from the Indian Ocean by both those pressure systems. This is as it is this morning at around about 9 a.m. It's what now, 4 minutes past 9, and we can see Typhoon Yagi. They're about to hit the North Vietnamese coast. It's already gone through Sanya, which is sort of the Hawaii of China, the island off the south of China. And we just move forward to 10 o'clock tonight, and it would have crossed over the North Vietnamese coast, obviously skirting past Hanoi. But it is now, once over the coast, it will weaken very, very quickly. And you can see that path will, it's sort of tracking northwest, and it will really just go over the top of Laos and into China as it disperses. Will it affect Thailand? Well, probably not directly, but the moist air that those two systems are dragging in will actually drop a lot of rain, but it won't directly be the typhoon itself that's dropping the rain on Thailand. It's all that moist air that it's dragged into the country of Thailand. Principally, where you're going to get the rains will be central and northern Thailand, I would have thought. As I speak today, we've got quite strong winds, 20 to 25 knot winds, and they're coming directly onshore. So it's a bit of a washing machine out there on the water. So there you go. That's those two things to consider. Uh, the other thing I wanted to consider before we get into today's main topics, and before I say hello to the people who are online, is the passing of a music legend today. I'm wondering how many people recall the work of Sergio Mendes. Now, he died, yesterday, the age of 83. Sergio Mendes, a Brazilian and probably better known from the 60s and the 70s with his band Brazil 66, and then I think it was Brazil 77. But Sergio Mendes had a big impact on sort of the South American sounds and the bossa nova making its way into mainstream pop music. Had two big hits off the top of my head. The Look of Love, the Burt Bacharach song from Casino Royale, the funny Casino Royale, not the later one with Daniel Craig, and Never Gonna Let You Go, which I would put in my list of the top 10 most interesting pop songs of all time. Not necessarily one of my favorites, but certainly one of the most interesting because I have never known a song, which I've played before, that has got so many chord changes and interesting chord progressions. A song written, I'm trying to think who wrote it. I made a note here. Barry Mann was one of them. Who's the other person? Uh, Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil. That's right. They were a husband and wife writing team. And they wrote this song that remains now one of the most unusual songs, but it became mainstream pop. There's plenty of really weird, unusual music out there, but that song made it but maybe not a number one, but certainly in the top 10. I think it did get number one for quite a few weeks. Mind you, this is back in 19 something or other. So yeah, the passing of Sergio Mendes. Make a note if you have any particular memories of Sergio Mendes, but he was a very influential musician and dead at 83. All right, time to move on to some of the other matters today. Sergio Mendes. So I'm going to start off with, well, I think I should acknowledge everybody first. Bernie Haney says he's moving to Thailand in March next year, enjoying the news updates. Welcome to you. John's Journey, good morning to you. I should mention, by the way, that if you're not a subscriber, you can't actually join in the comment section. But if you do become a subscriber, you can join in the comment section immediately. What do you get when you're a subscriber? From me, SFA, sweet all. But what it does is it's very, very good for my algorithm with YouTube and the channel. And I don't send you annoying emails. I don't sort of get to know where you live or anything, but it does help the channel. Trevor Newman says that Thailand Sevens team just scored a try against Japan in their first appearance in the Asian Rugby Sevens series. Nice to see. Should be fun in Bangkok November 9th and 10th when round 3 is played. Okay, thank you, Trevor, for the sports update. Good morning from Finland, says Tom. Thank you very much for joining us again, and we look forward to seeing you back, well, maybe somewhere in Taiwan one day. Thumper Squid says, been mewing for a week straight now, looking chisel riz. No idea what you're talking about. John D. Sawadee Krap from Melbourne, Australia. Nice to have you with us again. Durian, morning from cold Perth. Fun Size Media, Luke, Timo, Tony Fossey, Danny Stockdale. Now, I will be attracted to comments that have got capitals saying the word comment or capitals saying the word question, you don't have to do your whole thing in caps. But if you do a big comment and a big question or a big topic or something, it will attract my attention as I wade through these hundreds of comments. And we have Timo who says, comment. That's what you've got to do. Well done, Timo. Please say hi to the managing director of Beach House Thailand if you happen to meet him. Daisy. She's not here at the moment. I will do so. Greetings from cool Sydney. John Swift says, good morning. Danny Stockdale, good morning from Konkan. There's always ways to outsmart the government. So, PD Sever, what you're saying, without sort of suggesting that you try and outsmart the Thai government, but there will always be workarounds for immigration procedures, for different visas, and for different taxations. Now, if they're going to tax this, this, and this, you could move your money to that, that, and that, and somehow avoid the tax. So, no matter how Thailand shifts its taxation, and I'll get to the latest proposal in just a moment, there will be workarounds and people will find ways, but clearly they are trying to tighten up the system and bring it more into the line of the way other countries and perhaps more developed countries do their taxation, which we'll get to in just a moment. Greetings from Brisbane, Australia, says Capitonian. Question, when do the new entry requirements start? Shano Traveller, I will get to that. You're talking about the ETA, and that will be coming in later this year, but I'll get to that in a moment. Ken RQ, good morning. Tim Newton and chats people from here in Hua Hin. I don't need your validation. I will just lurk, says Fun-Sized Media. I think I've just validated you. God morning, says Scarface from Nonthaburi. Well, bless you too. Good morning from Melbourne, says Peter McKenzie. And we've got somebody from Fort Worth, Texas, Kenneth J. And have I missed any other comments? A lot of people saying good morning, including Scott. Hello to you. So good morning, everybody. And anybody I haven't acknowledged, I'm sorry, but I will do so when I can. Okay, so you know that the Thai government at the start of this year at the Revenue Department announced that it was going to be taxing money coming from overseas for Thais and for foreigners. Not just foreigners. This isn't a foreign income tax. This is a everybody tax. So it used to be that if you brought money after the year it was made, then it would not be taxed. Well, they're tightening that up, saying that if you earn any money from overseas coming into Thailand, it can be taxed. Of course, a lot of people have been saying, oh, but what about my pensions? And there is still debate and still people doing interviews with one person or another. And some people think that some pensions may be taxed. Some people say, well, no, countries that have got a tax agreement with Thailand, they won't be taxed. So there are still questions to be asked on that. And we do want clarification from the Revenue Department about some of these particular questions. And again, it may not be a one size fits all answer. Now, there's also people saying that, oh, well, to get a retirement visa, for example, in the future, you'll have to apply for a tax ID. There's been nothing said about that at the moment. So a lot of people jumping to conclusions on that. That continues. I'm not going to get into try to answer specifics because everybody has an individual tax situation. But there is a new proposal now, and this may further complicate the situation. Brace yourself. We'll go to the Bangkok Post story, and you can find the story under the title, as I press that button, Law to Tax Income from Overseas in the Works. Rules will follow widely accepted international principle, according to the chief of the Revenue Department. And the Thai Revenue Department's drafting a law to tax the income of individuals residing in Thailand that originates from overseas. Okay, the draft follows the international principle, he says, of worldwide income under the residence rule. What is a Thai resident? Anybody who is here for 180 days plus one, or I think just 180 days or more. in a year. So though, if you're here more than 50% of the time, you are considered a tax resident in Thailand. And the principle holds that income earned by an individual, regardless of its source country, must be taxed by the country where the individual resides for a specified period. And the amendment would stipulate that individuals residing in Thailand for 180 days or more must pay personal income tax on income earned overseas, regardless of whether that income is brought into Thailand. I'll read that last bit again, regardless of whether that income is brought into Thailand. Now, I can hear you screaming already. So, this is a proposed change to the current tax situation. And as it says, regardless of whether that income is brought into Thailand. If you're a tax resident here, you live in Thailand more than 180 days, they're going to tax your money no matter where it's made. Okay, or even if it's brought into Thailand. Ms. Kulea said the proposed amendment would specifically target personal income tax and would not include corporate income tax or income from mutual funds investing abroad, except for private funds. Okay, so it's starting to get into the gobbledygook. And it's starting to get into situations, well, is it a mutual fund or is it a private fund? And so it does get into your personal individual tax situation. It goes on to say, if and when it's enacted, the new law would follow a major change that took effect this year in the way income from foreign sources is treated for tax purposes in Thailand. Current tax law calls for individuals who reside in Thailand for more than 180 days per year to pay taxes to Thailand on income earned locally and also any income earned abroad that's brought into the country. Previously, if an individual met the 180-day tax resident requirement and had foreign income, they paid personal income tax on that income only if it was brought into the country within the year it was earned. Obviously, that has changed. So there you go. This is a proposal to tax you if you are a tax resident in Thailand for money made anywhere overseas, whether it's brought into Thailand or not. Of course, this is going to be very, very complicated. And a lot of people, myself included, would argue that Thailand already has a problem taxing its own people, let alone 3 to 500,000 expats and their own taxation systems. There's probably better or easier ways to get money out of, or get more sort of blood out of the stone. But this is the way Thailand's chosen to do it by falling into line with a lot of other taxation regimes around the world. So this is going to affect some people. Obviously, if you are spending more than 180 days in Thailand. So, my brief overview would be that if you're just living on a pension from places like Australia or the US or the UK, I don't think you have anything to worry about. But I don't know your individual situation and I can't give you a black and white answer. But I don't think it's going to apply to you. I don't think that is the intention of the Thai government to tax retirees who are living here in Thailand on a basic income. But if you are making money from overseas, if you are a YouTuber and being paid from overseas, you may have to look at becoming a tax resident. Or if you're not registered for tax, you might have to register for a tax ID and put in a tax return each year. So this is a bit of a fundamental change. And if you're living in Thailand for more than 180 days a year, it's going to be incumbent on you to look at your situation and how these laws are going to affect you. Now, reading forums anywhere on the internet is the last place you should be trying to get advice, including this channel. I'll read you what I see, what I know, but I'm not going to advise you any further on that, saying that it's black and white and this is exactly what you have to do. I would just say that you need to get good advice, probably from a reliable Thai tax lawyer. It needs to be a Thai tax lawyer, I think, to understand the vagaries of the Thai taxation system. So if you are earning a lot of money from overseas, this is clearly going to affect you if you live in Thailand for more than 180 days a year. Does that mean there's going to be a new regime in the future where people who are currently living in Thailand 100% of the time find a way to actually leave the country and maybe do some other travels for 51% of each year? So they're not a tax resident of Thailand. And then what about other countries? So people might say, oh, well, I'm getting out of Thailand. I've had enough. Well, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go that doesn't have some sort of taxation system that's going to impact you? You can keep on running away from one country because of its taxation rules, but you're going to run into other problems. And the other thing is, as somebody mentioned earlier, there are going to be workarounds. So people will find a way to put money here or there or bring it in through this source or that source and register different types of companies or whatever it is. And different taxation advisors and accountants will give different pieces of advice to different people depending on their taxation situation. So there's a lot to take in there, but that article's published in the Bangkok Post. And just the heading, if you want to Google it, the heading says Law to Tax Income from Overseas in the Works. So it hasn't been introduced yet, unlike the other rule, which has been introduced from January the 1st this year, which is taxing income brought into Thailand from outside Thailand. This is a new addition to that rule, which would be taxing you on your income, even if the money is made overseas, if you're living in Thailand for more than 180 days at a time. So plenty to take in there, and I'll go quickly to your comments if you have comments on that, and then we'll go on to the ETA, this new entry procedure that's been suggested for Thailand, which seems to me to sort of be a visa when you're not having a visa. Okay, to your comments, and a lot of people have comments on this one, which is good to see. Khalid says, good morning from Bahrain. Wasana residents in Phuket. Good morning from rainy Rawai from Art. Hi, Art. Thank you for joining us. And we don't have any rain here, about an hour north of Rawai. Good morning from Melbourne, Tim and Peeps, says the Waz. Franklin, Philippines, good morning. Alchemist has a comment. No comment. Thank you. Good luck monitoring money coming in from overseas. You can always deposit in your country, then transfer to Thailand account, says Thug Life. Again, I mean, you're suggesting a sort of a workaround. And it may be that if you look at the way that sort of Thailand bureaucracy runs or doesn't run, that there's going to be a lot of uneven application of these rules. And these rules are not going to just suddenly happen like that. And nor are the Thai Revenue Department going to have the resources to chase everybody up. So I think it's going to be a long time coming. It won't just happen on January the 1st next year, where suddenly people are going to be sent tax bills from the Revenue Department, or being sent letters, or people knocking on the door saying, do you have a tax ID? And I don't think it's going to become an issue with visas. I think visas and taxation will be kept entirely separate, even though there's some visas that have got tax advantages, especially if there are like the Board of Investment, the BOI, they've got things like smart visas and investment visas, which mean that if you invest a certain amount of money, you don't pay tax, blah, 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 blah. But there's not many people, probably you and me, that that applies to. Mr. Chai, 33, question, do you think Thailand changes tax to prepare for entertainment complex in Klong Toi, Bangkok? No, I don't think. I think that again is another issue. Klong Toi, fancy the the changes in Klong Toi, once the slum of Bangkok, being gentrified, or they're going to try and gentrify it because it's right in the heart of Sukhumvit, and it's been one of those sort of no-go areas, a place I've been quite often. But yeah, I don't think it's got anything to do with the introduction of a casino in Thailand. Oh, sorry, an entertainment complex in Thailand that may or may not include a casino. I think that's a different issue, but thanks for asking. Fun-sized media, interested to see if my Thai girlfriend will get taxed on the money I send her via Wise. Well, again, is she registered to pay tax? Does she have a tax ID? You don't pay tax unless you've got those two things. Anil RC, good morning, Tim. Uh, Personally, just my personal point of view, I like the idea of indirect taxes like VAT or GST in some countries, value added taxes, where everybody basically pays a proportion of tax on the services and the goods that they buy. I think it's a lot easier to administer. Income tax basically just keeps public servants working for the taxation department in jobs, and also accountants who have to process all this nonsense so that the Thai government can try and get some money. Things that I'd rather see an increase personally, and I'm sure many people disagree with me, on indirect taxes like VATs. The WAS, hypothetical. What if I don't bring my money into Thailand and only spend in Thailand using an overseas credit or debit card? Again, Wes, I mean, that's a very good point. The tax department going to lean over your ATM as you pull the money out of it and say, oh, can you count it in front of us, please? And we'll just take a little bit of it whilst you're pulling it out of the machine. So, but again, are they going to be able to track you bringing those monies into into the country? I don't think they have the whereabouts or the ability or the permission to do that at the moment, but those things might change in the future. Wilco has a comment. Greetings. Sergio Mendes also did a great version of the Beatles song The Fool on the Hill. He certainly did. He was on Herb Albert's A&M record label. Albert's still playing, aged 89. Herb Albert's still playing at 89 and runs a restaurant. So we do look forward to the coverage of Sergio Mendes' passing. We will get to relive, I'm sure, some of his hits. But certainly an artist, a Brazilian artist who had a lot of impact bringing Latin sounds into mainstream pop music. Bring Steve back, says Philip. Well, it's not up to me to bring Steve. Steve will come back in his own time. He's had a bit of a rest, and we had a very quick chat the other day about perhaps rebooting, not necessarily Grumpy Old Men, but some sort of program that we can be involved in together in the future. John Swift, question: would my long-time Thai girlfriend have to pay tax on money I sent to Thailand to her bank? Well, John, the short answer is probably, maybe, but is she registered for taxation in Thailand? Does she have a tax ID? Um, yeah, what is her individual tax situation? I mean, I don't know. It's impossible to say. How much tax will she have to pay? But it will depend on the total amount of money that she makes. A Thai girlfriend salary should be a tax offset, says Alchemist. Cambodia, here I come, says Path Chris. Well, you better just check on the regulations in Cambodia before you go rushing off to Angkor Wat. PD Sver says, so what will a foreigner get back for paying tax in Thailand? Social Security. Now, that's a very good question. If you're going to become a taxpayer in Thailand, if you're going to be recognized as a tax resident living here for more than 180 days a year, what are you going to get? Are you going to get Social Security? Are you going to get free healthcare? Well, we do get to drive on the roads. We do get to have our rubbish picked up. So, I mean, I suppose we already have certain advantages living here in the country along with everybody else. But will we get additional advantages? Okay, if you're having problems with the stream, I apologize with that. I'm on a stream that's a little bit far from me today. I'm hoping it's not causing any problems. Anyway, if it does, we'll worry about that later. So, uh, yeah, I don't know if you got. Probably not the answer to that. That's the short answer. Fun size media. I don't send her very much, but still. Khalid says, comment. The real story is that now is the annual month for submission of tax data in all OECD countries. The objective is that you must pay tax in one country at least, unless you live in a tax haven. Tax havens becoming few and far between these days. Funny fact, 181 days in Thailand, 182 days in any other country. Graham Wilson, question, what do you consider to be a good business venture for a foreigner in Thailand? Are you getting a good return on your beach houses? Well, for the first part of your question, I don't know. What is a good venture in Thailand for a foreigner? Well, look, my short answer is that if you go anywhere in the world and you work hard and you work within the law, you'll probably do fine. If you work hard, if you expect just to go to a country and start up any business just because the locals are doing it and you sort of try and dodge the law and dodge tax and don't work very hard, then it's probably going to fold anyway. I mean, starting a new business anywhere in the world, even in your own country, is difficult. So I don't know, and I don't know your skills. Um, I wouldn't be selling in real estate, but then again, if you've been selling real estate in places like Phuket, in particular, over the past couple of years, you would be very wealthy now. But there were probably a couple of decades before when working as a real estate or property agent in Phuket wasn't particularly profitable. Are you getting a good return on your beach houses? Well, I've put a lot of money into it and I haven't paid that back yet. So it's a developing business and I'm working very hard to try and make it work. But it's not as if I'm getting a huge return yet. And I do have competition, of course. Um, you can have two taxation countries. Joining late, good evening all. Every Thai tax attorney is giving vague answers at this point. Copal 71. Yep. Again, a lot of Westerners would be looking for, as they do, black and white answers. Does this pertain to me or not? And if you go to a lot of tax agents, especially in Thailand, they're going to give you wishy-washy answers because in most cases, they don't really know 100% how it's going to work either. But together, you'd be able to work out how you can do something to go towards falling within the laws. But it's going to be very, very lumpy for quite a long time. But if you don't go and see a Thai tax lawyer, you're not going to have the start of getting some answers. I would recommend getting the more it pertains to you, the more worried you are about it, the more I'd be going out and making some appointments with accountants. Probably get the first appointment for free and try and just sift through how it may pertain to you. Doing nothing and just getting online and arguing in forums about it is not going to help your situation. I need to acknowledge a super chat. My goodness. Eileen, thank you so much. Eileen, you humble me. Thank you very, very much for your incredible generosity. I mean, I wish I could do something useful for you. I could give you this fake Japanese plant, but you'll have to come and pick it up. I don't know. What can I do? I could give you my selfie stick. I could give you a cup of coffee. Thank you very much. Magically appears from stage left. So, Eileen, thank you very much. I am humbled by your continuing generosity. Mr. Chai 33 comment, Thailand invited to be OECD observer this year. That's why Thailand has to follow the rules. Wanderlust, Asia, Singapore or Dubai company. Well, that's okay, but it's not. It may be very expensive to set up a Singapore or a Dubai company. If you're worried about the government perhaps taxing your pension, again, you probably just need some good advice before you go and do something radical. But I used to have a Hong Kong company when I was building boats in China for tax reasons, and that worked out perfectly well. But it was quite expensive to wind up the company at the end of that venture. Um, I wish I could visit Philippines, but avoid Manila, says Fun-Sized Media. Not one of my favourite cities either. The WAS, question without notice, my Australian superannuation pension fund earns interest, hopefully. Would this be counted as income? Probably. But again, you're asking people in the comments section that won't know. You're asking me. I don't know. I don't know all the other aspects of your financial setup. But if you sit down with an accountant or a tax agent, they may be able to help you work through to a good answer. But I get it. I mean, you're just sort of throwing that out there as a question, but I can't give you an answer, nor can anybody else in this comment section, unless, of course, we have a tax agent in the comment section today. Frank in Philippines, you're sort of pimping yourself out here. Yes, Philippines is easier, yet no Thai food land. Hospitality sector is crap compared to Thailand. It's not all roses. You're absolutely right. Thug Life says, nice one, Eileen. Eileen, again, I thank you. From the bottom of my heart is over here. It's on the stripy section, not the flowery section. Good evening from Indiana, says the Snives. Good morning from Adelaide, says Colin. John, expat Thailand. John, comma, expat, comma, Thailand. So what would happen if I won 20 million pounds on the UK lottery tax-free? Would that something me to be taxed in Thailand because I'm living there over 50% of the year? I don't know, but maybe. Again, I think there is some sort of general feeling that if you've paid tax or not paid tax on money, but it's tax free, that you wouldn't have to be paying tax for it in Thailand. But it may depend on how you bring it into Thailand. Maybe it's been sitting in a bank account earning interest. Maybe you have to pay tax on the interest on that money. So, and I don't know how it fits in with everything else in your financial world. Stu Lavelle, the new financial system comes into effect next year. Hence, all countries are implementing new laws, tax laws, interesting times ahead. Yeah, look, I think generally, I mean, that's a good comment, Stu. There is a general feeling that a lot of countries are tightening their borders, tightening their tax rules. And the idea of the open borders that maybe we've had more of over the past 30 or 40 years is slowly closing down again. There's a big push from one side of politics to close borders, to have to kick foreigners out of their country, to stop illegal immigration. Now, I understand people's sensitivities to all that, and that may pertain to this next comment. I get a BOI visa for 2 years, says Scarface. Yeah, BOI visa may or may not help you avoid some of these taxation problems. Then again, it's quite expensive and difficult to get. Thailand is sort of both opening its borders and closing its borders at the same time. There's an obvious contradiction in what's going on at the moment. The Seta Tawisin government was all about allowing a lot more foreigners to come into Thailand and making it a lot easier for them to stay for a long time, either through visa exemption, getting 60 days plus 30-day extensions, or by using the new DTV, the Destination Thailand visa, which allows you to come in and out of the country for up to 5 years. Pretty much you can stay here all the time, although you'd have to leave well, you can stay for 180 days, extend for another 180 days, then you have to leave the country for 24 hours, and then come back and do another 180 days, etc., etc. So, yeah, they were making it a lot easier. But at the same time, we've now got this new ETA, which is going to come into operation, which is turning the visa exemption into a visa exemption with paperwork attached. which seems to me to be the visa exemption you have when you're actually having to apply for a visa. I'll get onto that again, repeating some of the information from yesterday, but for those of you that are new today, then this ETA is coming into effect later this year. And thank you very, very much to Enlightened Somebody. I can't see the rest of your name. Always appreciate your great work to keep us informed. You're a big reason I'm living in Thailand now. Oh my God. Thank you very much. I do hope you're enjoying your stay here. And wow, I'm humbled again. Have a cup of coffee on me. I will. In fact, I'll have a couple of coffees on you. But thank you very, very much for your kind contribution. Enlightened. So I don't actually see the full name sometimes, unless it starts with an E. Anyway, it's the problem I have where I can't see the full name on my screen. I apologize if I'm missing some of it. So let's go to this new ETA, and I'm covering some information that I did yesterday, but I think it's important just to go through some of these specifics. And it was a story. I put a link in the description yesterday. I put a link in the description of today's program as well. And this pertains to the ETA, upcoming changes to Thailand's 60-day visa exempt. So at the moment, and until this comes into effect, probably later this year, you can come to Thailand with your passport and a pair of underpants. That's all you need. You just arrive in the country and they will stamp you in for 60 days. And after those 60 days, you can go to a Thai immigration office and get a 30-day extension. Usually got to take a passport photo and notification of where you're staying. That's about it. So that is a visa exemption. You're not having to pre-apply for a visa. But now we've got the ETA. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is boosting the introduction of the new ETA, that's an electronic travel authorization, which will be compulsory for visa-exempt foreigners each and every time before they enter Thailand by air, land or sea. So the ETA pertains only for people who are coming into Thailand on visa exemptions. If you have a visa in Thailand, it doesn't pertain to you. All right, let's keep going. The advent of the ETA is scheduled for a phased entry in Thailand between December this year and June next year, and is expected to be free. It will apply solely to visa-exempt arrivals and require an application to the e-portal thaivisa.go.th. A lot of people yesterday, these suspicious types, the conspiratorial types, decided they were going to link the new ETA with the, well, it's now the defunct 300 baht arrival tax. I don't think that's going to happen. They're saying it's free. Everybody's saying the ETA is going to be free. So if it's not free, then I think everybody's going to be surprised. And the Thai government, again, will have a bit of mud on its face. Let's go further. So this may be some of the things you'll have to apply with, provide with an ETA. The need to show an accommodation address in Thailand, as well as a flight out of the country, in addition to an inward bound ticket. So this electronic, this online ETA, which you'll have to apply for before you come to Thailand, you may, and we don't know the specifics yet, but you might have to provide where you're going to be staying, an outbound ticket, a copy or confirmation, as well as the flight into the country. That means they know when you're arriving. Because what this means, I suppose, if there is an upside to this, is when you get to the country, you'll have a QR code on your phone or a printout or whatever, and you'll show that to the gate, and the gate will open and you'll just wander into Thailand. You'll be going in your own queue. You won't be going with the queue that goes past an immigration officer. So this is all sort of about modernizing entry into Thailand. But it is, in a way, as sort of you're having to pre-apply for a visa. And as some people said yesterday, well, what if I don't have a phone? Well, I think there's going to be ways around it. I mean, if you don't have it for whatever reason, you'll come through an immigration queue and suppose they'll sort it out. But there's other people who are saying, well, what about exemption for people over 70 or 75? They're not necessarily as versed with using modern technology, may not have a modern smartphone. I bet they do. So, yeah, it's sort of a pre-application to get into the country. And what happens if you don't get that magic QR code before you jump on your plane? Will they let you on the plane when you check into your flight? I don't know. And oh, well, that's it. So there you are. That's a bit of an update on the ETA. So we've got the rest of the program. Good God, I've been rambling on for 46 minutes. I'm going to bring the computer a little bit closer and I'm going to have my coffee that entered stage right. Thank you very much. Blustery old day outside, by the way. Just let me enjoy my coffee for a sec. Nongwa so, your comment is valid. You spend money on your ticket and then they knock you back. You lose your money. Well, you lose your ticket. Yeah, I think it's they are going to be using this ETA to check your name as they would if you came through a traditional immigration booth. They're going to be checking if you're a baddie. They're going to be checking if you've got an Interpol red notice. They're going to be doing all this before you come to the country, and means that when you come to the country, you've been given clearance. That you'll just show your QR code on your phone and wander in. You won't have to go past an immigration officer. So ultimately, it's more efficient. And if you've got nothing to hide, then I think it's probably a good step forward. And if you already have a visa, it won't apply to you. This is only for people who come in visa exempt into the country, currently the 60-day visa exemption. Tim, what are your thoughts about high season this year? Will it be busy, says DT? Yeah, it looks like forward bookings are, even with my beach houses, spoken to some of my friends in accommodation in Phuket, and they say they've got a lot of forward bookings. So I think Thailand's going to be very busy this high season. That's my personal feeling, the sort of vibe I get. Of course, anything could happen between now and November, December internationally that might curb people's travel plans. It could be an economic impact. It could be changes to the geopolitical situation, the current upsets in Gaza and Ukraine. They could change between now and then that may impact on people's ability to fly. Could be petrol prices, could put the cost of flights into Thailand beyond some people's reach. So, yeah, all things being equal, yes, I think we will have a very busy high season in Thailand this year. Alchemist, thank you for a great show. Everyone should hit the like. I agree. I vote for that. I'll give that a like. The Philippines already requires the ETA, says St. Christopher. Thank you very much for that confirmation. I think it's the same to enter Singapore, says Jerry G. So, yeah, look, international travel is changing. And whilst there's this continual push in people's countries to close the borders and make it more difficult for foreigners to come to their country, governments are going to uh, respond by making it just a little bit more difficult to get into their country. Now, they want to keep the baddies out, but ultimately that's going to affect the 99.9% of people that just want to go there, enjoy a few drinks and go to some tourist attractions. So every country absolutely has the right to protect its sovereignty. And some countries have got a bigger problem than others. I mean, the southern borders of the USA are obviously a big problem. And it's a complex problem. And I'm not going to weigh into the politics of that, but I recognise that. Obviously, it's something that's in the international news and on websites that I read every day. Now, some countries like Australia, which are surrounded by water, some political parties have made illegal immigration a big issue. Stop the boats. where the number of boats that were arriving in Australia, and that's a pretty rough trip to make, by the way, and a long trip. It's very hard country to get to by boat, whereas thousands of people arriving every day by and arriving at the airports that may or may not be illegal immigrants. So, look, illegal immigration is a problem around the world, and I understand some countries are going to want to address that, but it will affect ultimately tourism as well. So it's just the world we live in these days. Danny Stockdale comment, Europe attempting the same process but continually delaying process, so maybe a long time coming for Thailand. Will their system check PNR status? Will their system check P? Mandalik, you're going to have to tell me what PNR is. PNR. Sorry, Tim, but that shirt will have to go. I'm sorry, Fun Size Media. I'm wearing this shirt and I'm wearing it proudly. If you don't like it, it's going to have to turn the sound down and you won't get to see my pretty face. Let's go back. I don't want to miss any comments here. If how about bus ticket leaving Thailand? Well, yeah, a bus ticket leaving Thailand shows that you're leaving the country, and the government is well entitled to make sure that you are not going to be a burden to their country. If you are coming in without a visa, maybe they're entitled to make sure that you are leaving the country or that you have the intention to leave the country. Nongwar. So, question, spend money on your ticket. Oh, I've already done that one. Sorry. Stu Lavelle. Interesting times ahead with blockchain, fast, secure, cross-border payments for less than 1 cent. It will change everything. I'm not qualified to talk about that, so I won't. Tim, what are your thoughts about high season? I've already done that one too. Alchemist, thank you for your great show. Everyone hit the Tony Fossey. I think it's a great idea. Okay, Tony Fossey. Difficult doing this as a one-man band. I think it's a great idea with the ETA. Thailand is finally coming into the 21st century, and hopefully it will keep all the riffraff out for a change. Fair comment. The Philippines already has a ETA. Thank you for another confirmation. Japan has this already. Not convinced it will speed things up at the airport generally. James Guy, a question on the ETA. Is it known that the QR code allows bypassing an immigration officer? Is that speculation? I'm pretty sure that's what I've read is that once you've got that QR code, that you'll be able to come through a separate queue and you'll avoid an immigration officer, usually a grumpy immigration officer, but sometimes not. American Aviator, if you come from a country that needs to fill the Thailand pass, you'll also need to fill the ETA. The Thailand pass, I think, was just about for everybody. That's a post-COVID, early opening up the borders piece of paperwork. It's got nothing to do with the ETA, which will apply to everybody. Everybody who's coming into the country without a visa. Okay, if you've got a visa or if you're Thai, you won't have to fill in the ETA. D. Sandy. Oh, just disappeared. Sorry, I was about to do your thing and it disappeared. I'll try and find it again, D. Sandy. Traffic is so bad now in Phuket, I can't imagine how bad it will get during high season. Motorbikes are the only fast way to get around. Yeah, Phuket has changed. Changed since I first arrived, and it's changed a lot in the last 2 years. It's still a great place to go, and I can still guarantee I can take you to a little restaurant where you can put your feet in the sand and enjoy a view with very few foreigners there, or I can take you to a beach where you won't see a foreigner all day. But those things are getting a little bit harder to do now than in the past. But yeah, look, if you go to the busy sections of Phuket, it is a lot busier than it used to be. Places like Rawai, which used to be a pleasure to visit, aren't quite as pleasant as they used to be. Danny Stockdale, comment, Europe attempting the same process. I think I've done that one. Sorry, Tim, but that shirt's got to go. Thank you very much to Aidan from Canada. Tim, what are some of the activities around your beach cottages for tourists? Okay, well, it's a very quiet, if I might be a bit self-indulgent for a moment. It's a very quiet beach. That's the first thing to say. There are no pubs or shopping centres. However, within 10 minutes, you can go rafting, bamboo rafting. There's an elephant sanctuary. There's a turtle rehabilitation centre. There's some very nice restaurants. I mean, like, really nice. We've got a new pizza and pasta restaurant opening next week. I'll giving you a full review when I've done that. Um, Obviously, you can sit on the beach sometimes in the year, not today. You can swim at the beach, clean ocean waters. There are some Michelin listed restaurants. There's two in town. Um, there are restaurants up on the hill. I mean, it's not as if it's Phuket where you've got like big stage shows and ladyboy shows and bars every two shops down and massages every two shops down. Only got one 7-Eleven in town. So, I mean, Tai Muang is not a place you come because you want to do lots and lots of tourism activities, although there are plenty of very, very pretty places to visit in the area. And people who live here, they find new places every day of the week. But some people come here, they've moved here partly because of people like Steve and I, who have, shown the beach and shown what a pretty area it is. But the quiet and the isolation is not for them long term. Great place to visit for a week or 10 days or even a month, but maybe not a place where people want to live. And I've tried and make that very clear every single time I talk about the beach. I love living here. Obviously, Steve does too. And there's a few other expats that love it. When you come to stay in my beach cottages, I've got a whole book full of, there's like about 7 or 8 pages of things to do, places to go. So we do provide that information when people visit us. Peter Nesden, sounds like there may be an ironic situation where people with ETA may sail through the airport faster than people with a visa. I think you're right. Um, so the ETA, I think ultimately, when it's introduced, it's not introduced yet, is going to make it easier. There's going to be 5 minutes on a computer before you come to Thailand. And there is a very, very, very small possibility, I suppose, that you could be rejected. And hopefully there's some sort of channel for an appeal if that happens. Extremely unlikely. And we do hope it works, generally. But yeah, you'll arrive and you'll open up your phone and you'll just show your QR code and you'll walk straight through. You'll be first to the baggage section. Gary Cross says, "Love your shirt, mate. Very trendy." Well, it's sort of yeah, I like it. There you go. I really want to talk about my shirts all the time. What about the golf course? Oh yes, there's a world-class golf course called Aquella. Forgot about the golf course. I had breakfast there this morning. Very, very, very nice golf course and a little bit cheaper than the golf courses in Phuket. James Geyer have been to the kingdom more than 15 times. Never had a grumpy immigration officer. Always seem happy to me. Perhaps it's because I'm smiling. Very good. You get what you give. So you smile and say hello to the immigration officer. You've got a better chance of them being nice to you. Gary G, in Japan, I still had to talk to an immigration officer, as did everyone else in the lineup. Yeah, I've been reading that in Thailand, the intention is to have a separate queue with those gates that just flip open when you show the QR code. But let's wait for the details about what you are going to have to provide for the ETA because we don't know yet and when it's going to be introduced. But the article suggests, as other people have suggested, that it's going to be between December this year and June next year. So, the first half of next year. Buy a refundable flight ticket and get it refunded after you get into Thailand. but you still have to leave Thailand unless you've got a visa and you intend to stay here. So I would have thought that's slightly redundant. Okay, weed shop massage parlor ratio. Alchemist, weed shop massage parlor ratio. I've been seeing a lot of the weed shops closing down, so I think the massage parlors are still way in front. But I don't really go to the touristy areas, and I'm a lot further than the touristy areas than I used to be. Snorkeling, scuba diving. Where did I see that? Somebody talking about things to do around here. Large reservoir with floating rooms. Oh, where's that? D. Sandy, where is there a large reservoir with floating rooms? I don't know where that is, but I look forward to you updating me. If you don't say it in the comment section, please send me an email. timnewtontoday@gmail.com. I'd like to know where that is. I don't know about it at the moment. Ken RQ, you're probably correct. Never have encountered a Thai immigration officer in a bad mood. Oh, I have over the years. Some of them, like if it's just before lunchtime, yeah, they can be a little bit moody. Wilco, comment, the top class golf course nearby must be a big draw card for golfers. Yeah, always fairly busy. A very good golf course. Got a great little restaurant as well. They have the automated gates currently for Thai citizens. That's correct. They already have it for Thai citizens. How long drive to Malaysian border from here? Oh my goodness. It would be 9 or 10 hours, I would have thought. Good 9 or 10 hours. Yeah, from where I am here. John Swift, some people, including me, booked flights the day before flying. The ETA must work very quickly or it will cause havoc. Um, it's in your area. D. Sandy, please tell me where because I don't know where it is because a place I'd like to visit. Who is going to check all these ETA applications, about 110,000 per day? Well, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it's they're going to try and automate it. But they got, it looks like about 6 months to sort it out, or less than that now. But yeah, this is the intention. This is the proposal, like the tax proposal. So we'll just have to wait and see. The reservoir with hotel rooms over the water is at Kanchanaburi. Well, there's quite a few places around the country that has reservoirs and lakes and rivers with hotels on the water, floating rooms. But I think D. Sandy was talking about one in this area, which I'm unaware of. The problem with having to produce an outbound ticket is that one doesn't always know where they will be going after Thailand, says Kemet 1971. Again, the days of just putting a clean pair of underpants and a t-shirt or two in your suitcase and just meandering and wanderlusting around the world. I think those days are coming to an end where it's just going to become more complicated to travel. I can't see any way around it. I think travel is going to become more expensive. It's my own personal feeling, and just a little bit more complicated as the world is once again becoming more complicated. And the more countries insist on closing their borders and making it harder for people to come there, either because they were illegal aliens or because they're tourists, it's just going to affect everybody. And I think we need to be aware of that and understand that's just one of the side effects of countries having a greater control over their borders. And as I said earlier, I understand countries have got an absolute sovereign right to control their borders in any way they want. But if they want to keep the baddies out, they will ultimately be making it harder for just general tourists to go to those countries as well. So yeah, we're just going through that part of the geopolitical cycle at the moment, and I think it'll be affecting people my generation for the rest of our lives. And it just may be one of those things that Yeah, I mean, I sort of grew up at a time when the borders around the world just became softer and it became easier to travel in the 90s and the early 2000s. The cost of travel went down and the amount of paperwork went down. You didn't have to sort of carry those vaccination certificates around with you like you used to in the 50s and the 60s. And things just became easier and was allowed a lot more people to travel anywhere around the world. But we are going through a somewhat of a xenophobic phase where countries are just wanting to close their borders down. I understand that a lot of people are very sensitive about that, about trying to keep illegal aliens out. Okay, with all that, oh, here we go. Uncle Bob, Khao Sok National Park. There's a raft hotel resort. There's a lot of raft hotel resorts in Khao Sok. That's about an hour and a half from where I live. Glenn Jones, g'day, Tim. I enjoy your show. First time live. Keep up the good work. D. Sandy, well, I guess it's a long 2 hour drive from Tai Muang Beach. There you go. Thank you. Tim is correct. To Stu level, airline costs will skyrocket, preventing many to travel. I don't think they'll skyrocket, but they are higher than they were, say, 4 or 5 years ago. And I think they'll at least remain high. And if people start reducing their travel, then ultimately the costs will rise as well. Interesting times ahead. So hopefully, 7 minutes past 10, I've got to go. I've got things to do. I've got guests to check in today. But thank you very much for dropping in. I really enjoy these Saturday mornings, an opportunity to share information. And when I get things wrong, you correct me. And sometimes we get some great ideas thrown in there as well. And I get to chat to people from anywhere around the world. So whilst high airfares and the new ETA just might make it a little bit more difficult to get together face to face, at least we can get together once a week online. So great to have you with us, and thanks for not saying too much about the shirt. I appreciate that. I'm having tomorrow off, and I'll see you again on Monday. Have a great weekend.